Attempt number two, God's Autobiography, episode 47. My name is still Stephen French, and today I would like to talk about cigarettes. Them young fags, these guys. This is actually an empty box. These are pretty terrible. They're pretty terrible for you, although of all the brands, I guess I would kind of go towards American Spirit because it's far fewer of like the additives, just kind of it says the ingredients are tobacco and water. Still a filter, which arguably make it worse because with a filter you have to pull harder. They're bad either way. I don't smoke them very often. I don't smoke them very regularly, and there's kind of always a mindset for it, although this time is a little bit different. I think the first time I started smoking them was 2 years ago after a breakup with a girl that I haven't mentioned on this, that I don't really want to, but I might. Not today. But it was out of depression. It was out of a lack of control and a lack of, I guess, resonance or stability between my physical and mental state of being. I fell into a pretty dark place, a place that I had been before and thought I would never be in again, and then I was like tossed into a deeper version of it. And my body felt fine. My head felt fine. My heart, like, I know that's not actually, you don't feel them, but I believe you should understand the metaphor. I felt broken. I felt worthless, unambitious, just morose, just any negative adjective that I could think of. I felt that, but my body was fine. There was no actual reason for it other than just sadness. And I found that smoking a cigarette makes your body feel pretty disgusting. At least to me, it's got a pretty awful smell that kind of lingers with you on your hands for a while. It has a bit of an entertaining head rush for me. I don't know why, but it feels kind of gross. It's not like I don't enjoy the whole process at all. Again, just kind of gross. But it was that grossness, that ick, that pain, that disgust that finally brought like my physical down to the level of my emotional. And I didn't care where there was a balance. Ideally, it would have been bringing the emotions up, but I had no control over that. So bringing my body down it brought me to some bit of stability, and I relied on that pretty heavily for not very long. But I saw a benefit to it, and I still see a benefit to it. Again, I didn't smoke too much at my worst. I probably got to about a pack a week over the duration of 4 to 5 months, something like that. I don't believe it's enough to really create an addiction. At least I didn't. I don't have any addictive tendencies towards it, towards anything, for the most part. But I eventually quit those. I never considered myself like a smoker. I would smoke sometimes, but again, no addiction towards it. When I quit, I never made like a promise to myself that I can recall that I will never smoke again. I really don't. I guess I'm uninitiated to it, but I don't like that aspect of people in recovery, how they are unwilling to ever adopt the idea of not being an addict anymore. I think that's, if it works, it works, and power to anybody who's utilizing that mindset as a tool. But I think that there's a higher possibility. So I'm not like defeated or upset if I ever smoke one again. And for the most part, like I'll have one in a bit of a social setting if it's offered to me. I stayed with my brother for a month, and I wasn't at my happiest, so it was a little bit of a form of regulation, but it was also something that I could share with him. And I was kind of looking for an example to do that. I wanted to spend a lot of my time with him. And then I spent another month on Long Island before coming out here. I had bought one pack during that for about a week that I was kind of feeling a bit lost. And then this time I've bought 3 packs in Arizona. The third was a bit of an experiment. The first was feeling pretty heavy. I got it triggered in a fucking day. I was feeling great, and then I had listened to Front Porch Step while taking a shower, and that artist, that band, really only came to me at a time of sadness, of my worst sadness, and I resonated a lot with the lyrics in the songs, and to hear them, it just brought a flood of emotion back to me, and I wanted to kind of give myself a time frame when I was allowed to be sad, and I would do my best to occupy my mind whenever I could, and if I couldn't handle it, I would go out and I would smoke, and I would reflect on my life and on this girl that for some reason is still in my fucking mind. That lasted for like the whole first pack. It never got better, but it was nice to kind of have that, why this fly loves me, the time allocated for that, for that reflection, I guess. So I had bought another, not immediately after, but didn't take a very long break. And I wanted to continue to smoke these until I was able to go out and have one and not get back into that state of sadness. And it took about half of the second pack before I could just have one. And I didn't need her to be on my mind again. I don't know. I was feeling better. So about halfway through the last half of the second one I had lost that initial reason. I was gonna keep smoking. I had them there, I don't know, insight in mind. Then I think like, I don't know, 2 or so weeks went by, and I decided to buy this one, kind of to test to see like how I was, if I was still in that state, a little bit to test a different flavor, the dark blue, I guess. I usually would grab the mellow, the yellowish, orangish one. I'd gotten the light blue one once, and then this one I guess is bold or full body, whatever pseudo coffee terms they use to talk about cigarettes. And this one was different. I had them. I ended up just the other day calling my homie Dylan back in Colorado, and I used to smoke with him from time to time. So it was good. Like I had a cigarette, and I called him up for like I guess a Snapchat, FaceTime-ish type of guy. And that was kind of a throwback, so that was nice. We used to often like sit on the porch and smoke and talk. This one actually has a coupon inside, so I might buy another one because I can get it for like $6. But I don't know, there's something to them. I think it's a tool that can be used. I think it's a tool that I could potentially rely on in the future, but I feel no draw to it. I feel no necessity towards it. But I don't think I need to omit it entirely, at least if it becomes problematic, then maybe. But I don't know. I'm still trying to make up my mind about them. My family, or my parents both smoked when I was younger. My mom quit when I was still pretty young. My dad still smokes pretty heavily. God, you even see like in old military like MREs, they would often put in like a couple cigarettes. Or if you watch the documentary Meru, they're climbing like one of the world's hardest climbs in the world, and they're in a tent that's anchored onto the side of a cliff, and they're smoking a cigarette there. It is nice way to relax. It is, I don't know. This one also served a bit of a purpose of, oddly enough, like you spend money on these, and you can easily save money by not spending money on these. But I'm at a weird transition where I'm trying to set up a job that I need to put money down for. So initially you would think, hey, don't buy these because you're wasting money. But they work to satiate hunger, pretty well, pretty effective at that. So I was also trying to see if I were to spend $9 on this, could I save $9 in the week on not eating quite as much? Like it's very short term. I'm setting up this new job and it'll be fine. But for a very short term, if that could save me a little bit by spending a little bit, loud ass truck. And to be honest, it kind of did. I haven't felt as hungry as often, and if I do, I can smoke half of one of those and be satiated and go back inside and working on more coding projects. But I don't know, I've got a unique relationship, it seems to me, with tobacco, with cigarettes. I first smoked tobacco because of the French guys in the drinking community came out, and I guess they only have shit weed out there, so they often roll spliffs, which is just tobacco and weed mixed together. So we rolled hella spliffs at Beastwood, and that was my, I guess, first time with tobacco. So I was a little less bothered by it at that point. I don't know. Didn't have much to talk about. I just finished those. They're on my mind, and it's a part of my past, and it will quite possibly be a part of my future in a regulated sense. But everything in moderation, I suppose. Really weird video. God's Autobiography 47. See y'all tomorrow.